Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope your day and your week have been going very well so far. Got a new day, which of course means a new MLB Player Prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. I have a whopping six MLB player props to go ahead and share with you guys in today's MLB slate. I normally like to keep it around 4 props. I think going over 4 is a little overkill, but I just couldn't. I had 8 originally. I cut 2 down. I just don't want to cut anymore because I like all 6 of these player props. That's not saying much coming after yesterday. We'll get to the recap in just a minute, but I'm very confident. I really like the plays in today's slate. But first, guys, before we dive into today's many player props, we do have to recap last night. And spoiler alert, guys, we sucked ass last night. All the goodwill from Monday's video, we kind of lost it yesterday. Thank God we did hit one play, though. It wasn't a complete reverse sweep. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., that plus money play, did hit for us, so we did have that. And by the way, Lane Thomas, not betting on his under ever again this year. 2 times I bet on him. It's crazy because I'm pretty sure, if I can remember the data from yesterday correctly, I'm pretty sure he has like an 80% hit rate on the under this year. But both times I bet on him this season, he's had a crazy games. Yesterday, I think he had like a total of like 7 hits, runs, RBIs. Crazy. So he's on no bet island. A couple of tough plays. The Tree Scuba one, we knew was kind of risky going into it. Obviously, didn't pay off for us. Yelich did get a hit, but no runs and no RBIs. And Dansby Swanson was looking very good, but he had like 5 or 6 at-bats last night. Those extra at-bats definitely kill you when you're betting an underplay. It's tough out here, guys, but if you are fortunate enough, I say this all the time, if you guys have watched the videos before, you know my saying, if you're fortunate enough, you get the opportunity to wake up the next day and try again. So that's exactly what we're going to do in today's video. We're going to try again. We had a bad night last night, no doubt about it. We got 6 fresh new player props. Plenty of opportunity to go ahead and bounce back in today's video. We got a lot to get to, guys. No time to waste. Let's dive right into today's MLB picks. All right, guys, jumping right into the outlier screen. Our first player prop in today's video, we have Diamondbacks, White Sox, 2:10 p.m. first pitch. We got Ketel Marte of the Arizona Diamondbacks over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. We're grabbing it for -130 over on DraftKings. I'm going to say it now so I don't have to repeat myself over and over and over in this video. A lot of these player props you're going to see available on a number of sports books for varying odds. Guys, as always, please go ahead and make sure to shop around for the best sportsbook odds available. It does make a difference at the end of the day when it comes to the value. So -130 on DraftKings is what I personally am taking this for. And the data is pretty solid across the board. Yesterday's player props, I was very risky, and you could see the data was not good. Probably was a big red flag that, I think half the picks, the data sucked for. Probably should have pointed that out. That's on me. I did point out in the video, I was taking some risks. I felt confident after a 3-1 Monday. Took some big swings, pun intended, and I swung and missed. Pun intended. For today's player props, the data is much better. That I can definitely assure you guys. Ketel Marte has cashed this over of 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 7 of his last 10 games, but to narrow it down a little further, in 5 of his last 6. So pretty good numbers. And if we go ahead and stretch the data out to the entire season view, a 62% hit rate on the year. 33 out of 53 games he's cashed the over, averaging 2.64 hits, runs, RBIs per game this season. So pretty good numbers across the board here for Marte. And from a head-to-head perspective, 4 consecutive matchups with the Chicago White Sox, he's cashed this over, including 4 of his last 5, averaging 3.2 hits, runs, RBIs per game across the last 5 matchups with Chicago. Now, they played 2 times this year in this series. The last 2 days, he's cashed the over. 6 hits, runs, RBIs on Monday, 4 hits, runs, RBIs last night on Tuesday. So he's had some success here in this series versus Chicago. And honestly, it can't be that surprising. We are talking about the White Sox here. A lot of hitters have success when facing off with Chicago. We also have the insights provided by Outlier. Ketel Marte has exceeded 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 5 of his last 6 games on the road. He's averaging 5.5. That's a whopping number. 5.5 hits, runs, RBIs per game across the last 6 road games. 83% hit rate. Really good numbers on the road. And that's been consistent all year long. He has a 59% hit rate on the road this year. So pretty good road numbers in general. Last 20 road games, 15 of his last 20 games on the road, he's cashed the over. So pretty good numbers on the road. Pretty good numbers in general this season for Ketel Marte. And going down below to the key matchup stats, we'll look here first at the overall numbers, and then we'll jump over to the MLB dashboard quickly to look at the more recent numbers. Now, Marte's been having a fantastic year. 320 batting average, 181.6 WRC plus versus right-handed pitchers like Sean Burke of the White Sox. The numbers increase pretty solidly. 354 batting average, 210.6 WRC plus. Pretty good numbers there. And then looking at Sean Burke, his overall numbers are okay, not great. 450 ERA, 252 batting average, 1.3 home runs per 9, 340 WOBA. Again, they're not good numbers, but they're not terrible numbers for him. Now, versus left-handed batter. Now, they list Ketel Marte as a left-handed batter. He is a switch hitter, though, so not completely accurate. I know he primarily bats lefty, but not completely accurate. But his numbers versus left-handed batters, they obviously will go down quite a bit. And again, jumping over to the MLB dashboard, it kind of reiterates the same thing. You see his numbers here versus left-handed hitters, but versus right-handed hitters, you look at the numbers for Sean Burke, they're pretty bad. And so Ketel Marte, who does hit switch hitter, he's a switch hitter. He can hit righty, which obviously would be a huge advantage for him in this series. If we go to the right side of the screen here, we look at Arizona's batting here. Look at Ketel Marte. He bats second in the lineup. His numbers versus right-handed pitchers over the last 30 days, 370 batting average, 1.067 OPS. So his numbers in general were really good. His numbers overall this year versus right-handed pitchers, have been very good. Over the last 30 days, that stays consistent, actually better than his overall marks. He's a switch hitter, so like I said, he will bat righty if necessary, and in this matchup, that obviously makes a huge difference. So I like this as the first player prop in today's video. All right, guys, our second player prop in today's video, we're moving on to the Athletics-Tigers game, 6:40 p.m. first pitch. We got Jahmai Jones of the Detroit Tigers over half a total base. We're grabbing this one for minus 150, and ESPN bet is what I'm taking it for. Again, you guys will have a number of options to go ahead and take that. And the data is solid for the most part. A couple of red areas here, but you look at the last 20 games, 60% hit rate for Jones, 12 of his last 20, averaging 1.25 total bases per game over the last 20 games. Last 10 games, it's okay. Not good, not great, not terrible. 50% hit rate, 5 of his last 10 games. He's cashed the over, averaging 1.2 total bases per game. Like I said, not good, but not bad either. Just about even. And if we do go ahead and stretch the data out to the entire season view, we have a 57% hit rate. Now, granted, he's only played 14 games this year, so that last 20 game data does extend to last season. He's only played 14 games this year, but in 8 of 14 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 1.29 total bases per game this year for the Tigers. Now, head-to-head data, not too much to go off of here. He played the Athletics last night, his only matchup versus them in the last 2 years. He did nothing last night, but that's A-okay. New day today. Just like we failed yesterday and Jahmai Jones failed yesterday, we can both bounce back here today. Looking at the numbers so far, and again, take Jones's numbers with a grain of salt because it's a very limited sample size. He only has 27 plate appearances this year, but in those 27 plate appearances, we have seen him have a decent amount of success. 391 batting average, 438 BABIP, 55.6% extra base hit percentage. Again, limited sample size, yes, but 18 total bases in 27 plate appearances is pretty good. Again, the line is over half a base. All we need him to do is get a base hit of any kind, and he cashes the over. Now, again, limited sample size. I'll keep saying it over and over. Limited sample size. Versus left-handed pitchers, only 21 plate appearances this year, but in those 21 plate appearances, a.k.a. the majority of his plate appearances this season, you see the numbers, 444 batting average, 500 ISO, 62.5% extra base hit percentage. In the limited amount of data we have, versus left-handed pitchers this year, he's been very, very solid. And looking at the matchup here with Jacob Lopez, the pitcher for the Athletics, he's having, again, those numbers, 425 ERA, 254 batting average allowed. Not very good numbers, but not the worst we've seen. However, versus right-handed batters, you do see his numbers do pretty steadily increase. ERA, batting average allowed, and slugging, they all increase. I'm not too concerned about extra base hit percentage here because, again, the line is only half a base. All we need him to do is hit a single here, and we're good to go. So we don't have to jump to the dashboard for this because, obviously, the last 30-day data is going to be all of this right here. I think it's a pretty good spot here, and I think it's a pretty good matchup for Jones, who, again, so far this year, limited sample size, but a 57% hit rate on the year, and he's averaging 1.29 total bases per game. So pretty solid player prop here. All right, guys, moving on to our third player prop, but real quick, I got to grab the fan real quick. I apologize for this, guys. I don't know where you guys are in the world, but it is a heat wave right now in Connecticut, 100 degrees today, which we're not typically used to. And my studio, which if you guys don't remember, I moved into my new house a couple months ago. The studio, obviously, as you can tell by the echo, we still don't have the sound panels. There was still a lot of work to be done in here. I've just kind of been, I'll be honest, I've been a little bit lazy with the vacation and everything and working and whatnot. I haven't had time to upgrade. There's no cold air whatsoever. It's literally, I'm standing right next to a window and the heat is just beaming on me. So just got a little fan break here because I am sweating my actual nuts off. Third player prop in today's video. Guys, if you're watching the video at this point, please comment hot down below. Not because we're hot betting, because it's literally hot as balls outside right now. It is egregiously hot, and it's in this room right now is probably like a solid 85, 90 degrees. I am literally roasting in here, but this is what I do for the people. Thank God we don't have the NBA right now, because 2 videos back to back in here, I might die a heat stroke in this room. So comment hot down below if you are watching the video at this point. Our third player prop in today's slate, we have Yankees Reds, 7:10 p.m. first pitch. We got Max Fried of the New York Yankees under 2.5 earned runs. We're grabbing that for -150 on DraftKings. Again, you got a couple of different choices there if you want to tail it yourself. And the data is very strong here for Max Fried. 8 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the under, averaging 1.8 earned runs per game over his last 10 games. If we do go ahead and stretch that data out to the entire season view, he started 16 games for the Yankees this year. He's cashed the under in 14 out of 16 games. That's an 88% hit rate on the season, averaging 1.44 earned runs per game this year. Only 2 teams this season have got the better of Max Fried. 6 runs there to the Dodgers. That was tough. The Dodgers obviously have an all-star lineup. And then his last outing versus Baltimore, a little surprising. He gave up 3 earned runs in that one. But he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball basically all season long. So really good numbers here. We have no head-to-head data to go off of here. We do have the insight provided by Outlier that states Max Fried. And it literally just reiterates, this is the same thing we just showed you guys, the 16-game data. So that's all that. If we go down below here to the individual stats, Max Fried versus the Cincinnati Reds offense. Cincinnati has not been a great offense this year. You see bottom 5 in a lot of key categories: batting average, slugging percentage, WRC+, BABIP. They're not a very good offense versus left-handed pitchers, at least. And over the last 30 games, it's gotten a little bit better. You see all the numbers have increased slightly, but they've still bottom 10 in Major League Baseball in all of those key categories. And looking at Max Fried's numbers, 87th percentile in batting average allowed, 95th percentile ERA, 92nd percentile FIP, 92nd percentile WOBA. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. And if we refer over to the dashboard here on Guy Boston Sports, you do see Cincinnati over the last 30 days. Again, not a bad hitting team in general, but versus left-handed pitchers, they do rank bottom 10. If we narrow that down a little more specifically to the Reds' batting numbers over the last 30 days versus left-handed pitchers at home, I know it's a very specific stat line, but it is something to look at. You see they rank really, really low, bottom 5 in a lot of key categories. Actually, the worst hitting team in baseball versus left-handed pitchers at home over the last 30 days, which obviously is a bit of a big deal here. The other key thing to keep in mind here, look at Max Fried's pitch counts here. He utilized the cutter the most. 30.6% of his pitch count are cutters. The second most utilized pitch is sinker, 17.9%. And then the third most is the curveball at 16.4%. If you do go ahead and look down here at the last 30 batting versus these pitches in terms of runs above average for Cincinnati, the third worst team in baseball against the cutter, obviously very important when the majority of his pitches, 30.6%, or I would say the most utilized pitch Max Fried has is the cutter. You do see sinker, they're okay, 13th, and then curveball 20th. So you look at his top 3 pitches. The best is the sinker, they're 13th, which still isn't great. I think he's got a really good matchup on his hands here versus a Reds team that, let's be honest, not very good hitting versus lefties. All right, guys, our 4th player prop in today's video, we have another pitcher prop, and this one's going to be a really quick one because we don't have a ton of data to go off of here. We have Braves Mets, 7:10 p.m. first pitch. We're going Didier Fuentes. I hope I said that right. Didier. It's not Didier. It's got to be Didier. Didier Fuentes, over 2.5 earned runs. We're grabbing it for -130 on DraftKings. That's what I'm grabbing it for, at least. Now, he's only pitched 1 game this year. His last start on June 20th, just about 5 days ago versus Miami. He did give up 4 earned runs in that game. We literally have nothing else to go off of. He didn't pitch last year. That was his first game in the record books that we have to go off of, which is sometimes a good thing, sometimes not a good thing. Now, you're going up against a Mets hitting team, and this is kind of where I'm leaning into. You have an inexperienced pitcher on the road in New York going up against a Mets team that has been hitting much better. Now, from an overall perspective, you do see some things are good, some things not so good. BABIP consistently all year long has not been great. Their batting average for the overall mark is 16th, which is middle of the road. Over the last 30 days, they are better, 12th. So it's, they're not a great team versus right-handed pitchers, but certainly better. But look at the OBP, slugging, and WRC+. They actually, over the last 30 days, are top 3 in all 3 of those categories. And if we go back over the dashboard here, look at the Mets batting last 30 days, and you do see, in general, on average, versus right-handed pitchers, a lot of green there. Top 10 in almost every category there, which obviously is very, very good. They've been hitting very well off of right-handed pitchers. Now, if we do narrow it at home, they're not as good, but still solid in a lot of those key categories. So it seems to be a pretty good matchup here. And if you look at their last 30 batting versus pitch count, runs above average, of course. You look at, now again, we only have 1 start in 5 innings pitched, so we don't have a lot to go off of. He heavily utilized in that 1 start fastball, slider, and curveball. If we look over here, fastball, the Mets, 11th best in MLB. Over the last 30 days, pretty good. Now, the slider, 25th. That's a little concerning there, but he did only utilize the slider at 20.7%. So he did utilize the fastball way more. The slider, that's a little alarming, but still not that bad. And then curveball, I don't know how much he really faced of the curveball, 10. So, not a ton. Like I said, we have to go ahead and take this with a grain of salt because he only threw X number amount of pitches in that game. So we don't have a ton to go off of. But what we do have to go off of, everything looks to be a pretty good matchup. And looking at Didier in that 1 start, 7.2 ERA, like I said, it's tough to go off of when you have a very limited sample size. But yeah, like I said, inexperienced pitcher, rough first start, going up against a Mets offense that is getting better. I think it's a solid player prop at from -130 odds. Pretty decent value. All right, guys, our 5th player prop in today's video, we have Mariners Twins, 7:40 p.m. first pitch. We have Trevor Larnach of the Minnesota Twins, over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. We're grabbing it from -110 over on BetMGM. But again, you guys have a ton of options there if you'd like to tail. Data is pretty consistent across the board here too for Trevor Larnach. 6 of his last 10 games, including 5 of his last 6. He's cashed the over, averaging 2 hits, runs, RBIs per game over his last 10 games. The further you go ahead and stretch the data out, it's still pretty solid. Not as impressive, but still solid. 58% hit rate on the season for Trevor Larnach. 42 out of 73 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 2.03 hits, runs, RBIs per game this season. So recent data is solid. Overall data is solid. If we look at the head-to-head numbers as well, very solid here. 9 of his last 12 matchups against Seattle, he's cashed the over. That's, of course, a 75% hit rate, averaging 2.83 hits, runs, RBIs per game across the last 12 matchups with Seattle, including 6 consecutive matchups versus the Mariners, and including, if we continue to narrow it down, 5-0 this season versus the Mariners. He's already played them 5 times this year. He's 5-0 this season versus Seattle with some really good numbers under his belt. And obviously, this is the 3rd game of their series thus far this week. He played them last night. He had 2 hits, runs, RBIs. Day before, he had 4 hits, runs, RBIs. So really solid numbers. And then, of course, we have the insights provided by Outlier. 4 of his last 5 games at home, he's cashed the over, averaging 2.2 hits, runs, RBIs per game across the last 5 home games. Looking down below here at the key matchup stats, Trevor Larnach versus George Kirby. 4 plate appearances since 2018. He does have 1 hit, which was a home run off him. Obviously, very solid there. Looking down low at the splits, Trevor Larnach, 259 batting average, 113.8 WRC plus this season. That is pretty solid. And then versus right-handed pitchers, it only gets better. 286 batting average, 137.6 WRC plus. Again, really phenomenal data there. And looking at Kirby for Seattle, not having a very good year. And versus left-handed batters, it actually gets worse. 7.16 ERA, 360 batting average allowed, abysmal, 3.3 home runs per 9, and 453 WOBA. Really bad numbers, but obviously very good for us here. And again, referring to the dashboard, we look over here, last 30 days for Trevor Larnach versus right-handed pitchers, 313 batting average, 817 OPS. So again, the overall numbers were 286 on the year versus right-handed pitchers. Of late, though, 313. So he's even better over the last month or so. So yeah, very good numbers here for Trevor Larnach. Really solid 5th player prop in today's slate. And then wrapping things up, guys, our 6th and final player prop before I have a heat stroke in here. We have Marlins Giants, 9:45 p.m. first pitch. We have Edward Cabrera of the Marlins under 2.5 earned runs. Now this one, -145 on BetMGM, is the best that I have available to me in my individual area for. He's cashed the under in 7 of his last 10 starts, averaging 1.8 earned runs per game over his last 10 starts. If we do go ahead and stretch the data out to the entire 2025 season, still solid, a 67% hit rate on the year, 8 out of 12 starts. He's cashed the under, averaging 2.08 earned runs per game this year. Now, a couple of rough starts there. You see he had Diamondbacks, Reds, and Dodgers all 3 in a row. He cashed the over. Those are some pretty solid offenses. Cubs also. You look at the 4 games where he cashed the over, all pretty solid offenses, honestly. The Giants, I don't know if I put them in that category. Head-to-head data, pretty good sample size too. Each of his last 3 starts versus San Francisco dating back to last year, he's cashed the under, averaging just 0.67 earned runs per game across the last 3 matchups with San Francisco. And he has pitched against them once this year, less than a month ago on May 31st. He had 0 earned runs in what was a 1-0 win for Miami. We also have the insights provided by Outlier. Edward Cabrera has failed to exceed 2.5 earned runs in 7 of his last 8 games on the road, averaging just 1.4 earned runs per game over the last 8 road games. Again, that Dodgers game, the only one where he gave up more than 2. So pretty good numbers, honestly, in general here for Cabrera. And one more time, referring over to the dashboard over on Guy Boston Sports, Cabrera, pretty good numbers overall. Like I said, pretty solid data. The key thing here is looking at San Francisco's numbers batting the last 30 days. And if we go ahead and zoom in here a little closer, it has not been very good for them. Overall, they are 3rd worst offense in terms of batting average versus right-handed pitchers, 4th worst, and at home versus right-handed pitchers, the 2nd worst. Just really not good numbers across the board in any category, really, except for his walk rate. They've been consistently pretty solid, but otherwise, everything else has been pretty rough for them lately, which obviously spells to be a very good matchup here. Also, looking at Cabrera, he's got a pretty good mixed pitch arsenal. Doesn't really utilize one pitch too much. Changeup, sinker, and curveball make up the most of his pie chart here. And if you look over here, the Giants batting last 30 days in terms of runs above average, we have sinker, worst in Major League Baseball over the last 30 days. Changeup, 14th, which is middle of the road, not bad, but not good either. And then curveball, which is 23rd, which is bottom 10 in the league. So, and then the further you go into it, I mean, you look at also he utilizes the slider. They're 11th, but that's only 15% of his pitch arsenal. And fastball, which is 14.6%, they are 20th. So the only pitch that they really have any success against the slider, which they are 11th, but it's only 15% of his pitch arsenal. He uses that as the other pitches a little more consistently. So I think pretty overall, it's a pretty good player prop. And again, looking down below here at the numbers, San Francisco batting versus right-handed pitchers, just kind of reiterates what we just talked about. But yeah, pretty good numbers across the board here. Really solid final player prop in today's video. Guys, that is it for me today. I am ready to pass the F out in here. I got to get some fans and an AC in here ASAP Rocky. Thank you very much, as always, for watching one more time. Please make sure to go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Win or lose, guys, and I know there's been a lot more losing of late than winning. I apologize. Trust me, I bet these props myself. Nobody likes losing more than me. It's frustrating. I went to bed last night like, damn it, I could not believe the results last night, but it's just kind of part of it. We were 55-25 last month. This month, definitely not that anywhere close to that, but that's just kind of sports betting. We're going to get out of the funk eventually. Hopefully today we go ahead and turn around with a bunch of opportunities here. But like I said, win or lose, no matter what, I'm going to be here tomorrow. So until then, guys, I hope you're all winners. Enjoy your Wednesday, and let's go ahead and make a lot of money, baby. Let's go.